Hello everyone, I am Casey the Gamer, and it is time for another game review. I've covered Metroid and Metroid 2, and now it's time for Samus Aran's next adventure. That's right, it's time for the one and only, the incredible Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. Super Metroid was released on March 19th, 1994 in Japan, and April 18th, 1994 in North America. So despite growing up with the first two Metroid games and owning a Super Nintendo with a lot of the classics, this just wasn't one of them. I didn't play it until many years later, and it was many more years later before I actually beat it. I always ended up getting stuck. That being said, Super Metroid is an amazing game and one of my favorites in the series and one of the most influential entries in the entire franchise. Now, let's take a closer look at Super Metroid. The game opens up with Samus recounting her adventures in Metroid 1 and 2, describing her defeating Mother Brain and then wiping out the Metroid species, minus the final Metroid larva. Samus delivers the infant Metroid to the Galactic Research Station at Ceres so the scientists could study it and its energy-producing abilities. The findings were incredible. The powers of the Metroid might be used for the good of all civilization. Satisfied with everything, Samus left the station to search for a new bounty. Samus had barely left the asteroid belt when a distress call from Ceres Station came through. Samus quickly flies back to the space station and heads inside. She runs through the station and sees a few dead scientists before heading further in. Samus finds the baby Metroid, but before she can grab it, Ridley appears, grabs the baby, and attacks Samus. Samus and Ridley have a brief scuffle before the space pirate escapes with the Metroid. The space station is then set to explode in 1 minute. Samus rushes to the exit and escapes in time. Samus returns to planet Zebes to track down Ridley and the baby Metroid. Everything is incredibly quiet at first until Samus gets scanned by an eyeball camera. Then the planet comes alive and is crawling with space pirates and other various enemies. Samus fights her way through the enemies while collecting upgrades and comes across her first real enemy. It's another blast from the past. It's Kraid. And like before, he didn't put up much of a fight. Wait a minute. That's not the real Kraid. The real Kraid is gigantic. Samus fights the supersized Kraid and manages to defeat him as well. Samus continues collecting more upgrades, battling more alien creatures, and ends up exploring a ghost ship. Samus encounters a powerful spectral entity called Phantoon in the ship. Samus manages to defeat the ghostly alien, which returns power to the ship, allowing her to collect more necessary upgrades to complete her journey. Equipped with the necessary upgrades to traverse the watery depths of Meridia, Samus dives right in. While exploring the area, Samus encounters creatures known as Mocktroids, failed Metroid clones that are easily destroyed. Moving further in, Samus fries the creepy crustacean Dragon, killing it easily. Samus leaves Meridia and heads into the depths of Norfair and finally finds Ridley. Samus and Ridley engage in a serious battle. Samus unloads missile after missile into the beastly space pirate. Ridley tanks enough hits to deplete Samus's ammunition and practically kills her. Samus manages to come out on top and put an end to Ridley with her power beam, killing her nemesis once and for all. Yeah, right. Samus enters the room that Ridley was blocking and finds the container the baby Metroid was held in. The container is broken and there is no sign of the Metroid anywhere. Samus leaves Norfair and enters the statue room. The statue indicates that Samus has defeated the 4 main space pirates and opens the way to Torian. Samus enters Torian and is greeted with successfully bred Metroid larvae. Just like before, the Metroids are easily destroyed with the combo of the Ice Beam and missiles. Samus decimates all of the Metroids as she progresses through Torian. Upon entering the next room, Samus encounters many husks of various creatures. Suddenly, Samus is attacked by a giant Metroid. Samus tries to attack it, but her attacks have no effect. The Metroid latches onto Samus and begins to drain her energy. As Samus reaches the brink of death, the Metroid stops draining her. It turns out this giant Metroid is the baby Metroid. It finally recognized its mother figure, Samus. The baby leaves the room as Samus realizes it was the infant Metroid. There's no explanation for the size increase of the Metroid, but it's likely a side effect of the radiation the Metroid was exposed to in order to produce the other larva Metroids. Samus recharges her energy and presses forward in her journey and encounters a rebuilt Mother Brain. Samus begins to pummel Mother Brain with missiles and easily defeats her. Mother Brain suddenly reactivates and rises up with a huge and powerful body. Samus and Mother Brain's final battle begins. Samus does her best to damage Mother Brain with her missiles and power beam, but it barely seems to faze the bipedal brain. Mother Brain lays some serious hurt on Samus with her Hyper Beam attack. Samus is brought to her knees, and Mother Brain begins charging up another Hyper Beam when the baby Metroid enters the battle and attacks Mother Brain. The baby latches onto Mother Brain's head and begins to suck her dry. Mother Brain is turned into a husk and the baby flies over to Samus and begins to heal her. It turns out that Mother Brain is still alive and she recovers quickly. Mother Brain attacks the baby while it continues to recharge Samus. Once Samus is fully healed, the baby launches itself at Mother Brain to attack her again. But Mother Brain's next attack kills the baby Metroid. Samus, now armed with the Hyper Beam, transferred to her by the baby Metroid, attacks Mother Brain with a quiet fury. Samus fires beam after beam at Mother Brain. There's nothing Mother Brain can do to stop the bounty hunter. Samus continues her onslaught of hyper beams, completely decimating Mother Brain, killing her for good. The entire planet is now set to explode and Samus must escape. She fights her way out of Torian and makes it back to the surface. Samus jumps into her ship and escapes just as planet Zebes explodes. Super Metroid has absolutely wonderful gameplay. It is the culmination of everything that has been done in Metroid 1 and 2, with some serious improvements all around. This game introduces even more new power-ups that have become staples throughout the years. It also solidifies how a lot of power-ups will work in the franchise from here on out. There's only one thing to do before starting the game, and that's changing the button layout, at least in my opinion. The default control scheme just doesn't feel good to me. I changed mine to have Y shoot, B jump, A dash, and X cancel items, and I left everything else the same. Whether you change your controls or not, let's get into this amazing game. The only ability from the previous Metroid games not to return is the Spider Ball, but everything else is back along with a slew of new toys. Unlike Metroid 2, where Samus started off with the Morph Ball and missiles, Samus starts out with nothing. Like in the first Metroid, the Morph Ball is the first ability you obtain, which, as before, allows you to turn into a ball and get into areas you can't reach normally, either for progression or for upgrades. Bombs make a return and are still used to blow up destructible blocks to reveal paths and damage enemies. The high jump boots once again allow Samus to jump higher than normal. The Varia suit returns as well, and in addition to reducing the amount of damage Samus takes, it also protects her from the superheated areas of the planet. One of the new upgrades is the Speed Booster. Hold down the dash button and Samus will build up speed, destroying everything in her path. This is also used to destroy Speed Booster blocks. A new suit upgrade is the Gravity Suit. It reduces the damage Samus takes even further, and allows her to move freely in liquids and protects her from lava. The spring ball once again allows Samus to jump in ball form. The space jump returns and still allows Samus to spin jump indefinitely as long as you get the timing down. And the destructive screw attack is back and decimates enemies just like before. Samus once again starts with her standard power beam, which is okay. It's nothing special, but it gets the job done. There are 5 beam upgrades for you to acquire throughout the game. One of the best new features in Super Metroid is that most of the beam upgrades now stack, which is amazing. I'll get to the exception to that a little bit later. Let's start with the new beam upgrade, which is the Charge Beam. It allows you to charge up your beam for a more powerful attack. Also, if you do a spin jump while charging your beam, you will do a pseudo screw attack, basically letting you kill the weaker enemies, which is pretty cool. The Spazer Beam is back and once again splits your power beam into 3 shots. The Spazer is just so good. The Ice Beam works like it has in previous games, allowing you to freeze enemies and use them as platforms. The Wave Beam now definitively passes through walls, which is fantastic. And the Plasma Beam is an incredibly powerful beam that can fire through multiple enemies. The beam stacking exception comes with the Spazer Beam and the Plasma Beam. You can't use both at the same time in this game. Besides her power beam, Samus has a variety of other tools in her arsenal. Missiles return and do more damage than the standard power beam. They are once again used to open red doors, which takes 5 missiles to open. Everything else is new to the series. Super missiles do a ton of damage and are used to open green doors. Red doors can also be opened by using just 1 super missile. They are also used to destroy super missile blocks. Power bombs make their debut and they are incredibly destructive. They destroy power bomb blocks and pretty much anything in the area. They also open the yellowy orange doors, and you can use a power bomb in this glass tube to enter Meridia, which I think is really cool. It's just so awesome to see. Another new tool is the Grapple Beam, which is used on grapple blocks to swing over great distances. You can also swing on some enemies with the Grapple Beam. Next up is the X-Ray Scope. Equip it and you can see all the secret walls and blocks in the area. It's very useful, especially if you're new to the game. Nowadays, I typically skip it myself. The final new tool in the game are the reserve tanks. They're like sub-tanks in Mega Man X. You fill them up with extra energy that you gather. You can set it to auto, which will heal you when you're about to die, or you can set it to manual, where you have to do it yourself. Other collectibles in the game include the upgrade tanks for your energy, missiles, super missiles, power bombs, and reserve tanks. If you get everything, you should have a max of 14 energy tanks, 230 missiles, 50 super missiles, 50 power bombs, and 4 reserve tanks. Save rooms and recharge rooms are back. However, recharge rooms will only recharge your energy and regular missiles. Returning to your ship, however, will replenish all of your items as well as saving your game. New to the game is the map feature, which feels so good. It's so good to finally have a map. And the map will give you an indicator that there's an item in the room with a dot on the map. There are also map rooms that give you the whole map of the area, which is also great. There are a few extra tricks in this game. Some the game tells you about, and some that they don't. The 2 that the game teaches you are the wall jump and the shine spark ability. There are these cute little friendly aliens that will teach you these techniques. The shine spark is done with the speed booster. Build up speed and then press down to store the shine spark. Then press the jump button in a direction and you will go flying in that direction, destroying any enemies and speed booster blocks in your way. The wall jump is just like it sounds. It's a wall jump. With the right timing, you can jump back and forth between the walls to get up higher and higher. You can also wall jump repeatedly off the same wall if you're good enough. One of the hidden techniques includes the bomb jump. This involves dropping morph ball bombs at the proper intervals to propel you further into the air. This will help you get some items early if you can pull it off. Another fun technique is the mock ball. You do a running jump and then hit down on the D-pad mid-air, and then down one more time to morph, and then the direction you want to go in, and if you time it just right, you keep the speed from the running jump. This will allow you to get the ice beam early as well as the super missiles early. Getting the super missiles early allows you to kill the mini-boss Spore Spawn super fast or just skip them entirely. Another quick thing that you can do with your bombs, if you turn into the Morph Ball while charging your power beam, Samus will drop 5 bombs. It's pretty neat. There are a few charge beam combos as well. In order to do this, you equip only the charge beam and one other beam of your choice. In Super Metroid, you're able to equip and unequip items and abilities if you want. Anyway, you charge the beam while the power bomb is selected, and it will produce a shield based around that particular beam. Another hidden tech is the Crystal Flash. It fully heals Samus, but it is quite a pain to pull off. I'd recommend looking it up if you're interested. I've never been able to do it. Another fun thing to do is the quick kill move on Dragon. Expose the electric panels on the wall and let Dragon grab you. Start shooting the grapple beam and get it to connect with one of the electric panels. You'll take some damage, but it fries Dragon in no time. It is just so cool. I mean, I guess you could fight Dragon regularly, but that takes longer. So as with any Metroid game, you get to the planet and your adventure begins. You explore the planet and collect your upgrades to make progress. Along the way, you'll fight crazy bosses and mini-bosses like the Chorizo statue, Spore Spawn, Fake Kraid, Big Kraid, Crocomire, and actually, let's talk about Crocomire real quick. Crocomire, you have to knock back onto these crumbling platforms. Crocomire then falls into the acid and you watch its skin melt off. Then its skeleton tries to jump scare you by breaking a spike wall. It's really damn cool though. Continuing on with the bosses, there is Phantoon, Botwoon, Dragon, the Golden Chorizo statue, and Ridley. So we actually fight Ridley twice in the game. Once at the very beginning where he gets away after he damages you enough. You can't actually damage him enough to make him drop the Metroid, but he still grabs it and takes off. The actual fight with Ridley is pretty challenging. Ridley is a damn tank in this game. I usually run out of missiles and super missiles and have to rely on the charge beam. Once Ridley is dealt with, we head to Turian and deal with the Metroids once again. Like in previous games, freeze them and then blast them with 5 missiles. Or you can freeze them and blast them with 1 super missile. Once the Metroids are taken care of, it's time for Mother Brain. Phase 1 of Mother Brain is easy peasy. Just pummel her with missiles and she'll quickly transition into Phase 2 with her giant battle body. Overall, Mother Brain is super easy, especially compared to the fight with Ridley earlier. Damage Mother Brain enough to trigger her hitting Samus with the Hyper Beam, and then the baby Metroid shows up and does its thing and gives you the Hyper Beam. Mother Brain kills the baby Metroid, and then you destroy Mother Brain with the Hyper Beam. The planet is then set to explode. It's time to begin your escape and blast your way through the space pirates that get in your way. But before you head to your ship, make your way down here to save the friendly aliens who taught you about the wall jump and the shine spark. Do it. Save the damn animals. After that, continue your escape and make it to the ship to beat the game. Samus leaves the planet as it explodes, and you can even see a tiny little pixel leaving the planet as well. I believe that it's supposed to be the animals getting off the planet. Like with Metroid 1 and 2, completing the game in a certain time limit will show Samus in a skimpier outfit. Getting the best one requires beating the game in under 3 hours, which I did this time. Super Metroid is also the first one to track the percentage of items you obtained, but it has no impact on your ending. Super Metroid is a fantastic game. It took everything that was great about the first 2 and improved them dramatically. And it solidified many of the mainstays in the franchise. It's legit one of the most iconic games in the series. As with the other Metroid games, it's a blast exploring the planet and using your tools to get new upgrades and make it further in. Super Metroid has floatier controls compared to some of the other games, and I know some people hate it, and some people love it. It doesn't bother me one bit. I think it feels great. And the other games without the floaty controls also feel great. My only complaint with this game is Meridia. I always get lost in Meridia no matter how many times I play this game. This room right here that's on screen right now, shoot this spot to reveal the way to go. You're welcome. Super Metroid features those amazing 16-bit pixel art graphics that the Super Nintendo is known for. Super Metroid is absolutely one of the best looking games on the system in my opinion. This is the best Samus has ever looked. Going from the NES to the Game Boy to the Super Nintendo, the improvements are huge. Not only does Samus look great, but all of the enemies are amazing, and the backgrounds are also the best they've been up to this point. So detailed. Perfectly alien and creepy as well. The sound effects of Super Metroid are also fantastic. A huge improvement of the sound effects in the past games. And the plasma beam doesn't make my ears bleed in this game. But yeah, everything sounds great. All your weapons, all the various alien creatures and bosses sound so good. And the atmospheric sounds are wonderful as well. And the music for Super Metroid is top notch. It sets the mood of the game perfectly. There's a lot of creepy and unsettling songs, like as soon as you land on the planet, you're greeted with a very uneasy song. But as you progress and get more powerful, when you return to the surface, the creepy song is replaced with a beautifully triumphant theme for Samus. The soundtrack pairs super well with its sound effects to build the atmosphere of this alien planet. You might have picked up on it by now, but Super Metroid is a damn good game. It looks amazing, and the gameplay is incredible. I always have an amazing time with this game, even when I have to deal with Meridia. This game has stood the test of time, and it still holds up today. All you have to do is look at the sheer amount of ROM hacks for this game to know how loved and how influential the game is. Super Metroid is wonderful, and I definitely recommend it. Even if you don't play the first two, if you want a great action exploration game, you can't get much better than this one. Thank you all so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And if you want to see more of me, you can catch me streaming all kinds of games over on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/CaseyTheGamer91. And you can find the link for that down in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to catch you next time. Peace out.